Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Jeanelle Slade.
And I'm Jay Cohn. A longtime Miles City athletic trainer accused in a sophisticated system of sexual abuse today arrested at his home in Miles City.
However, not for charges in the sex abuse case, instead for a series of other crimes. The Montana Department of Justice releases information in a case that rocked the town of Miles City this past fall.
78-year-old James Jensen now faces 10 counts of sexual abuse of children for pictures seized on his home computer.
Jensen is behind bars for those charges, but also faces a civil suit filed by 19 male victims who say when they attended Custer County High School decades ago, Jensen sexually abused them for years. The investigation began in September after the Custer County attorney became aware of the allegations from media reports. Jensen was a trainer at the Miles City Unified School District starting in the 1970s.
Numerous victims came forward with sexual abuse allegations, which they say happened at the school and at Jensen's homes. However, the alleged abuse took place outside of the statute of limitations, and therefore Jensen could not face prosecution. The court documents state that Miles City Police received information about child pornography on Jensen's home computer found by a housekeeper at his retirement home.
In the beginning of October, police obtained a search warrant and confiscated Jensen's computer and a tablet. Investigators say they found pictures of nude boys engaging in sex acts on the devices. Jensen's bail now set at $100,000.
He's sent to appear in Custer County District Court on December 21st.
Q2's Russ Riesinger has more reaction to today's developments.
Russ, you talked to the attorney who's representing the victims in the civil case. What did he have to say?
Well, John Heenan says he's thrilled with these developments and breathing a sigh of relief, as he's sure the victims are too, that James Jensen is behind bars tonight. He says it never would have happened had it not been for the bravery they showed coming forward.
He wouldn't be in jail tonight if they hadn't had the courage to come forward to bring this. And then, of course, all that was followed by the hard, diligent work of law enforcement who, didn't give up when confronted with statute of limitations problems, kept working the case, and today is, the fruits of their work.
Heenan representing 31 men who claim they were abused by Jensen from the 70s until the late 90s. He says he doesn't see Jensen's arrest having any effect on the civil case that's been filed against the Miles City Unified School District, which Heenan accuses of giving a known pedophile an office in the boys' locker room.
To me, that's one of the most painful parts of this case is, all this healing process should have started 20 years ago with the school district letting these parents know what had happened to their children so they could start healing together as families. And, for whatever reason, none of that happened.
Right now, the civil case is not set to go to court until March of 2020. Jay?
All right, thank you, Russ. Well, just as financially troubled Westmoreland Coal asked court permission to pay its key valued employees retention bonuses as the company navigates Chapter 11 bankruptcy, word today that the company's chief financial officer is resigning. Gary Cohn's resignation due to personal reasons was announced yesterday. Today, Q2 learned that Cohn will be leaving the company January 4th after getting more than $1 million in retention bonuses over the past year. Cohn received $995,000 in key employee incentives and another $210,000 from Westmoreland's short-term incentive program. Gary Cohn started work for Westmoreland in April of 2016. Just 7 months later, he was named the company's interim CFO. Westmoreland, which owns 3 coal mines here in Montana and another in Wyoming, filed for bankruptcy on October 9th, citing a debt load of $1.4 billion.
A flurry of nationwide bomb threats also impacted several businesses in Havre and Missoula and in Wyoming today. Now, those emailed threats delivered to businesses, medical offices, and schools all across the country. The threats prompted the University of Montana to send an alert to students and staff to watch for and please report any threats to campus police. Law enforcement authorities say the threats are not credible. The FBI is investigating.
Northwestern Energy plans to replace its street lamps with more efficient LEDs. Some of those have already been installed here in Billings. Take a look. 6 of the new lights have been put up on Broadway between 1st Avenue North and 2nd Avenue. The new LEDs are part of Northwestern's beta testing to determine which of the LEDs to buy. Northwestern has now installed 24 of those new lights on 5 streets in Billings that include Gable Road near South 32nd Street West. The plan eventually is to replace about 4,300 streetlights here in Billings and 43,000 across the state. The LED lights are 50% more efficient and last 2 to 3 times longer than the high-pressure sodium lights. Here in Billings, the lights in Billings and Helena are due to be replaced in 2019, and Northwestern says it will be replacing lights in other parts of the state in stages through the year 2022.
The clock is ticking for the 115th Congress to complete its work before year's end. Mola Lengi is on Capitol Hill, where lawmakers are scrambling to avoid spending the holidays at work this year.
Congress may be riding high after passing an $800 billion bipartisan farm bill earlier this week.
The boost this bill delivers couldn't come soon enough.
But the legislative to-do list for the 115th Congress is still lengthy. Top on the list is avoiding a government shutdown after the December 21st deadline.
What I'm hearing on the Hill is that we might be more likely to have a CR for all 7 bills until the end of September.
Democratic leaders continue to make it clear that despite the president's threats,
I will shut down the government.
They will not budge on his demands for a $5 billion border wall. Meanwhile, the president has thrown his support behind the First Step Act, a House-passed criminal justice reform bill that would overhaul sentencing guidelines. That bill could be put in jeopardy by just a handful of Senate Republicans.
I don't think the Senate should vote to let carjackers and bank robbers out of prison. Maybe other senators do. That's their prerogative.
One internal victory of note for federal lawmakers is an agreement on changes to the Congressional Accountability Act of 1995. Those changes are intended to strengthen protections for victims of sexual harassment on Capitol Hill.
Time is finally up for members of Congress who think that they can sexually harass. Time's up for all of those who somehow thought that victims could be ignored.
The measure already passed both chambers by unanimous consent. Mola Lengi, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Attention now over to weather. Bob McGuire, as people get ready to travel over the holidays, they need to really make sure they're ready to deal with any emergencies.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, because, you know, it's going to be so warm the next few days. Might be a good idea to put together your car survival kit in case you get stranded in a snowstorm later on this winter. In the meantime, let me show you some of the ideas we're talking about. Cell phones, it's good to have cell phone and charger in your car. Also blankets and sleeping bags. Flashlights with extra batteries, a good idea. First aid kit and extra clothing. A shovel, windshield scraper and brush, got to have that for sure. Toolkit, and here's some other ones you may want to put in: tow rope, jumper cables, also water containers, compass, and road maps, or maybe just use your cell phone on that one, huh? Also high-calorie, non-perishable food, waterproof matches, and maybe a knife. That's all a good idea to have all that in your car just so you can get to them in case you get stuck out on the road. You never can tell. We'll have your weekend forecast, which looks pretty nice, in a few more minutes.
All right, thanks, Bob.
Well, you know, adolescence is a time to figure out what you want to do when you grow up. But it's also a time for big dreams and growth.
For one Billings teenager, it's been a time to amass an incredible Lego collection and some pretty incredible dreams to go with it. Q2's Connor Pregetzer shows us.
Brendan McGovern is a 14-year-old 8th grader who dreams of being an aerospace engineer. According to his parents, it was apparent from a young age that Brendan was someone who loved to create.
He's always been a very curious kid. And so how things work has always interested him a lot. And so I think that was the Legos is kind of a natural extension from that. It's been very cool to watch the progression from being a little kid with just, you know, blocks and things like that to what he's doing now, and further on to what he's planning on doing with engineering.
His first Lego set came so early in his life that his parents had to help him put it together, and he has been building ever since. The collection spilled out of his room and into the downstairs storeroom, onto the basement floor, and now finds a home on a custom-built table, courtesy of a family friend. And space there is scarce. The piece in the design phase right now is a working roller coaster to add to the midway. And while Lego is often a young person's hobby, it comes with adult price tags. The 4,000-piece coaster set comes in at just under $400. Brendan estimates the value of his collection at around $4,000, and while some of the pieces have come on birthdays and Christmas, a lot of the collection has been built from Brendan's own hard work.
Mostly from summer jobs and, you know, just odd jobs that I get. I have my neighbors around the neighborhood. I watch their dogs while they're gone for the weekend, get their mail, water their flowers, and then I had a friend who was moving this summer, so I helped her all of this summer.
Brendan also brings those hard-working habits to other areas of his life. He is a great student who tutors younger children in math. He volunteers and takes piano lessons in his spare time and has attended national camps for youth who excel in STEM. His Lego collection mirrors his passions, and if you ask him what pieces are his favorite, he will tell you they are the planes. In fact, planes dominate his future outlook. He loves to travel and dreams to one day be en route to a far-off destination on a plane that he helped design.
I would like to work for Boeing and work there in Seattle, as they have a huge plant there. I think it would just be cool to know that if I'm flying on a plane, a transatlantic flight, to know that I designed that plane and it is staying up in the air for 10 hours.
While the future is never set in stone for Brendan, it does seem like the sky is the limit. In Billings, Connor Prigitzer, MTN News.
Was that a little TV reporter and the cameraman there at the end? I'm not sure who's more into the Lego, though. Connor's a big Lego fan, too. And
the photographer was for that story, too.
Yeah, Justin Hosa. They both volunteered and said, we got dibs on this story.
Coming up on tonight's 10 o'clock news, a new bus with upgraded technology is keeping mammograms mobile.
We'll give you a closer look at that coming up. Plus, Santa taking a break from the North Pole to visit some of his littlest fans here in Billings today.
Hi everybody, Scott Breen at the National Finals Rodeo here in Las Vegas. Coming up in sports, does Montana's Caleb Bennett close in on his first World Championship? Plus all your local contestants in round 8.
You're watching MTN News with Jay Cohn and Jeanelle Slade. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire and sports with Scott Breen. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.